Hey y'all, I'm Val from Our Forever Farm. The other day we made spinach and cheese enchiladas. I added some chicken to them. It was so good. If you haven't saw that video, I'll link it in the description box. I'll also put this recipe for the cookies we're fixing to make. I'll put the recipe in the description box. We're making butternut cookies. I make these a lot over the holidays and we're almost to the holidays. It's getting toward the end of October. And I like to make these and freeze them where I'll have them for my grandkids on Halloween. And then I love to have these at Christmas too. So today, like I said, it's butternut cookies. Now you can do this by hand if you'd like, but I choose to do it in the mixer. So what I'm gonna do first is I'm gonna cream my powdered sugar and my butter and my salt until it's light and fluffy. So 1 stick of butter is half a cup. And we need 3/4 cup of butter plus 1 tablespoon. Now I'm going ahead and put in that half a cup, that's 1 stick. I use real butter. And then half of this, let me get a knife. Half of this would make that 3/4 of a cup. And then it calls for 1 extra tablespoon. So I'm gonna put half of a stick of butter, and then on the butter, you'll see the tablespoons. I'm just gonna cut 1 tablespoon of butter to add to this. Why does 1 tablespoon make a difference? But yet it does. So I'm gonna throw that in. I'm gonna put my salt in, which I already have it measured out. That's 1 teaspoon of salt. And next I'm adding the powdered sugar. That's half a cup of powdered sugar. And we're just gonna turn this on and blend this until it's light and fluffy, like I said. So you want your butter room temperature, in case I didn't say that. You want it room temperature where it will mix up good and it'll be light and fluffy. So when you get it started, you can increase the speed. Now what I like to do is I like to stop the mixer and scrape down the sides. I showed y'all that before, believe. So some of the butter is in the little mixer thing, so we want to knock it out. And then we want to scrape the sides down. And continue mixing. So that's finished. So that's all I'll do with the mixer. And like I say, you can do that by hand. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add my flour in slowly and just mix it by hand. So I've got my flour already measured out, and so I am just putting a little bit at a time in. I believe it's 1 3/4 cups is what it is. And I'm just gonna mix this by hand. You could do this in the mixer, but I think it's better to do it by hand. So, whew, see why you need an apron? It goes everywhere. I'll mix the 3/4 in. You just wanna blend this together. So I showed you my Believe spatula. If you can still see it, Believe. I want to show you this. This bracelet says pray, trust, and wait. And that's what I'm doing. Pray, trust, and wait. And I'm wearing these in faith that my doctor's visits are going to be all good news. So now we're going to add our butterscotch chips in. And it calls for 6 ounces, and all I had was 11 ounces. I do a pick up from Walmart, and they just give me you know, what they want to. So I'm guessing at this, and I'm gonna say we're just gonna use about half. And we're gonna mix these in together. So this mixture was just a little bit dry. I probably added a little too much flour in it. But all I did was add just a little bit of water. You could also add a little more softened butter or a little bit of milk, either one, just to get it to the cookie dough consistency. And now we're gonna add 1 cup of pecans. You can see I measured out 2 cups, so I'm gonna add about 1 cup, and that should be enough. And I'm gonna mix this together. So you want to make sure and mix this really well. You don't want flour in the bottom of your bowl, and you don't want those nuts in the bottom of your bowl. You want them mixed into this cookie dough. That's about it. So at this point, I'm just going to get a cookie sheet out, get my parchment paper out, just because I don't want to wash the pan. But you can do it straight on a cookie sheet if you like. And y'all know what I do with parchment paper. I just crunch it up and then it lays just where I want it. I'm gonna do my cookies in little round balls. 1 tablespoon balls. I don't know what this is. I wish it told on here. But I'm thinking this might be a tablespoon, so that's what I'm using. Oh yeah, I forgot to turn my oven on. 325, y'all, preheat it. My oven's pretty loud, so I'm sorry you have to listen to it. It's a convection oven too, and it's very, very nice. So while I'm placing these little cookie balls out, we're gonna preheat the oven to 325. I really like this little cookie scooper. Now, because this doesn't have any baking powder or self-rising flour in it, it's only got the all-purpose. These will not spread out. These cookies will not spread out. So they should stay in semi-round balls, and that's what we want. Now, although I used a cookie scooper, I still want to take these and just make them in little round balls like that, because you don't want them ragged. And if one looks bigger than the other, you can take a little bit off of it, put it on another, where they'll be about the same size. We're just waiting on the oven to preheat to 325. I guess I need to wash dishes. So while I'm washing dishes, I want to remind you of the verse we've been learning, and I'm trying to memorize it by heart. It's Proverbs 31:27. She looketh well to the ways of her household and eateth not the bread of idleness. And that's the verse we're learning. Now, we'll probably say that maybe 2 or 3 more times, and then we're going to move on to another video. So, it's just a little lesson that we're learning that I think is so important. I've got to stay home all day today, and I love staying at home. I just love it. And I get things done, I cook, get my house in order. $3.25 for 25, let's see, 25 to 30 minutes. 25 to 30 minutes. $3.25, 25 to 30 minutes. Remember what I always tell you though, every oven's different. So check them. I'm gonna check these about 18 minutes. I don't want them brown, I want them firm. So now we're gonna make the rum glaze. That rum glaze is 1 teaspoon of rum extract, And I'm making sure I've got this right. 3 cups of powdered sugar, which I already have measured out, and 3 or 4 tablespoons of milk or water, and I use milk. And that's our glaze. So we're gonna go ahead and make it while our cookies are in the oven. Just doing this in the mixer. I just do the easiest thing. So I've washed my mixer. 3 cups of powdered sugar, 1 teaspoon of rum extract, doesn't matter what kind. 1 teaspoon of rum extract. Now y'all know me, I use powdered milk for my bacon, so I always try to have some in a jar. You also need to have some for your storage too, for your emergency planning. I always have some powdered milk. So I'm just gonna pour a little bit in here where I can dip. So our milk is 3 to 4 tablespoons. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just go ahead and put 3 in. You know how powdered sugar, it really eats up the liquid, so it shouldn't take much. Let me find my little doohickey. There it is. Just washed it too, so I gotta wash it again. And I'm just gonna try to mix this up and see if I need any more milk. This is called a rum glaze. Now I added quite a bit more than what they say because it wasn't making a glaze, but here we go. So while I'm cleaning up the kitchen, here's what I've done. I've got a rack, a piece of parchment paper. You can do it on a cookie sheet, however you want. That's for your cookies to go on. And then this is our glaze. I'd really like for it to be a little bit thinner than this, but we will see how it works out. I think as it sits in the room, it will probably thin up and warm up, you know? It'll warm up. So I wanted to say one thing about me sharing a Bible verse with you. I am no teacher, I'm not anything like that. Well, I might be a teacher of some sort. I don't want to be of everything. I love to learn. But the reason I give you the Bible verses, the reason I give you the little life lessons is because I can. Titus 2, 3 through 5 says the older women can teach the younger women. And that's what this channel is about, along with my Facebook page. So I hope that you don't think that I know more than you or that I think I know more than you. I don't. This is what I'm studying. This is what I'm sharing from my heart. It's not because I don't think you know it. It's because it's what I'm doing. And I'm just sharing it. It's fun. It's like having friends around to do this with. Proverbs 31:27. I've memorized it. She looketh well to the ways of her household, and she eateth not the bread of idleness, which means we're not lazy. Whether you have to ask for help or whether you can do it yourself, we're not lazy. Our minds are always going. I don't know about you, but I have a hard time sleeping. I don't sleep good at all. I haven't since the chemo, and I didn't really before that. So it could have been, you know, me being sick. But my mind, it's hard for my mind to turn off. And so I have to make my mind turn off. And that's the way we women are. So now, when I'm trying to go to sleep, I'm quoting that verse. She looketh well to the ways of her household. She looketh well to the ways of her household. She looketh well to the ways of her household, and she eateth not the bread of idleness. Proverbs 31:27. I hope you get it too. I've been trying to clean up my kitchen from cooking today and making this dessert, and in between showing you this on video, I'm washing dishes, I'm cleaning my countertops, I'm putting up my mixer. I haven't done that yet, but I'm going to. It's been just about 18 minutes, so I'm gonna check my cookies. Right when I said that, the timer went off. So here's what they look like. They are not firm, they're soft. So I'm gonna set the timer for another 5 minutes. That would be 25 minutes. Let's see, that would be 23 minutes. My timers went off, so it's been about 23, 24 minutes. And so I'm gonna check them again. Let's just feel of them and see what we think. These are pretty firm. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set them on this, let them cool in the pan. I don't wanna take them out of the pan and put them on the rack yet until they're cool, because they will probably fall apart. They're gonna be so pretty. Sometimes they turn out round, sometimes they turn out like this. It don't matter, they're gonna be delicious. So I'll go ahead and tell you that I broke one just by picking it up. So these are cool enough for me to touch, so I'm gonna put them on here. There, I broke another one. Level it. Well, that's gonna be, well, see, if they're too hot, you gotta be careful. Let's just take that one off. That'll be mine. If they stay on that pan too long, it's not good, because they're never gonna cool. So we need them to be on here where we can get, well, see what I mean? If they're too hot, those are gonna be mine. Here's the one I already broke. It'll be okay. All right. These are not wasted, I promise. And they are good. I've already tasted them. I can't imagine with this glaze and then the nuts on them. So we're gonna let these cool just a little bit more. I've been eating the crumbs. They are delicious. So it says you can either dip these cookies into the glaze and then into the nuts, or you can spoon the glaze over. That's what I'm gonna do, because mine are kind of breakable. I might should have let them cook just a smidgen more. They'll be fine. So I'm just gonna drizzle this over these cookies. And see that we've got the parchment paper on them, so there's no way it would, I mean, it's just gonna fall through on the parchment paper. It's not gonna make a mess. So I'm gonna get one of these down at the bottom that's getting dripped on. I'm gonna sprinkle some nuts on top of it, and I'm gonna do a taste test on the crumbs. So very good. That rum, that calls for a Coke. That rum extract has such a different taste, it makes things so good. Now I'm just gonna take my finely chopped nuts and sprinkle them over the top. Again, we're thankful for parchment paper, because I hope I didn't wait too long. That glaze is already set up, I think. It really has. But we just wanted a slight little nut on there. It's already got the nuts in it, so. If you rub it just a little bit, it's still warm and it'll have them stick to it. I don't want a bunch, it's gonna cause a mess. So, really, they're about cool. So I'm gonna put them on a little platter. I'm gonna get Sweet Hunter some ready to take down. I'm gonna get me one and go get me a Coke because that sounds so good to me. So I'm just getting a plate. See if I can move them without, oh yeah, that's good. Just very carefully because they are still a little bit warm. Move them to the plate. Look at that, how pretty. Well, I filled that one up, didn't I? Look how pretty though. Aren't those beautiful? So pretty. And Vic's Me and Sweet Hunter one, or a couple. He might eat 3. Let's see. So don't look at the mess behind me. Look at these, how beautiful. They are so pretty. The glaze is just setting up. See how it's dripping off, but it's hard. So the longer they cool, the better this will be. This is one that I broke, and I'm gonna go ahead and give a taste test again on this video. They're so good. I need Coke bad. Butternut cookies. Y'all go cook something.